Hey everyone, Angel Hicks, founder of Evolve Women's Network, and today we are in Literary Circle where we are going to be talking about Managing Oneself by Peter Drucker. And like one of our members just said, it is a daily struggle, and she is correct. So let's get into it. The book summary is Managing Oneself is a guide to developing a skillful persona. Okay, and learning more about your strengths, weaknesses, inclinations, how you collaborate, all while making yourself more knowledgeable about how you can thrive in your career. And when we say career in this particular instance, in this book, we're talking about our business, right? That is, our business is our career. So we live in an ever-changing world, and so does the working environment, right? Constantly changing. We were just talking about different apps this morning. We're just constantly evolving and changing. So to navigate those winds of change, you have to improve yourself and develop those skills that lift you into kind of your zone of genius. We've heard of that. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. That always happens. The three lessons we're going to learn are: one, know your strengths and weaknesses by conducting a feedback analysis. Now, this is where you're going to get really honest with yourself, okay? And we'll get into that. Understand your communication style and how you work with others, and then work on your second career. So whatever that second career is, to keep yourself engaged and challenged in your working life. So there's different ways that we're going to talk about what that second career might be. And it might not even be like a career as far as financial career, but just some other things that you can add to your repertoire. Okay, so this is kind of an overview of what the book covers. So the first thing that he talks about is like, how do you learn? How do I learn? The way I learn is going to be different than the way you learn, obviously, right? So how do you learn best? Reading, listening, writing, applying what you learn. How does that work best for you? How do I perform? How do you get things done? That's going to be in your analysis. What are my strengths? Right? We've all heard about strengths and weaknesses and all the different tests you can take and all the different personality assessments and all of that. Understanding your strengths and your weaknesses, of course, can give you a roadmap to really strengthening and becoming an expert or mastering those strengths. What are my values? What's important to me? What's important to me might not be the same as important to you, right? So understanding our own fundamental personalities and what's important to us can help guide us in this career that we're building. Where do I belong? Or better yet, he says, where do you not belong? Compatibility of individuals and the organization's values. So this could be in your networking groups. This could be in where you're volunteering. This could be in a lot of different aspects, of course, and the company that you're partnering with or that you're building. And what do I contribute? So given my strengths and weaknesses, my way of performing, my values, how can I make the greatest contribution in my company, in my business that I'm growing or that I'm working with? How can I deliver results that are visible, measurable, and meaningful? Those three things are going to be a part of this assessment that we're going to be talking about. So lesson number one is start your self-development journey, which everyone that I've come across in Evolve, I'm sure you're the same, is on some self-development journey, right? We should always be developing ourselves, learning about ourselves, getting true with ourselves, right? But by learning about your strengths and weaknesses. So he talks about starting by carrying out a feedback analysis. Now, this feedback analysis that he talks about is about 9 to 12 months of data that you're going to be recording and looking at. So these are about your key actions. So whenever you make an important decision, or really any decision, I think, because they're all really important decisions, right? Make a note about what your expected outcome is. So you've just made this decision. What are you hoping that this decision is going to do? And then ask yourself, what is your strength and weaknesses in the process and how they affected that income. Could affect your income, I guess, but affect your outcome, right? So this process, he says, is really important in your feedback analysis because it's not just about your strengths and weaknesses and what am I good at and what am I not good at, all of that, right? It's also about how you make decisions, and are those decisions that you're making getting you to the end result that you're looking for? So he says in time, it's crucial to know what areas of strength are. And you may, when you start this process, my first thought is like, I may be stronger in some areas that I'm not giving myself credit for, right? So you should be bringing forth what you should be working on. Okay, so consequently, knowing your gifted areas allows you to look for skills to sustain them and then enhance those skills. So that he says the feedback analysis is really your first start of this self-discovery journey that you're going to go on as it pertains to your career, your business, what you're building, and how you show up there. Lesson number 2, we talk a lot in this group about communication, and today is no different. So how you communicate with other people tells a lot about where you belong and how you can do whatever job you're doing. So communication is a key element in anyone's life, and the network we form plays a huge role in our success story, right? And we all know this. So mastering and tailoring it to our persona is really essential. Mastering and tailoring your communication and the way you're communicating out to the world. So stating what your expectations are, he says, your values, your boundaries, and then your work style is only going to enhance your communication. So if you have a team around you, your team should know how you communicate best. What are your values? Where are we going, right? And if you're a leader, obviously all of those things are really important for your team members who are following you or who are on your team to understand, and especially expectations. Early on in my journey of leadership, I was not great at setting expectations. It was like, well, whatever you guys want to do. Well, is that a good idea? Do you think so? No, that's wishy-washy, and it's not, it's a gray area. So really stating and getting clear on your expectations, values, and boundaries for your team and people that are around you is really important. Lesson number 3, a second career might be the key to a fulfilled, challenging, and thrilling life. Now, I think this part of the book is, of course, talking more about somebody that's in a corporate or a 9-to-5. But it can also be used, of course, for those of us who are building our dream, right? Most of us have already connected for whatever reason with the business that we've partnered with or the business that we're growing, that we're building. But he talks about having maybe a second opportunity, a second career, because many people focus their lives on a core professional endeavor. And I'm sure you can all think of the business that you're building. It is a core professional endeavor without leaving much room for lateral growth. Okay. So he says there's 3 ways to kind of develop a second career. One is obviously starting a new career, but using your strengths analysis, figuring out what really lights you up and adding something to what you're already doing. So the second thing is to develop your side career on top of your existing one. We have seen this, you guys, all over God's green earth. We've seen it on all the social media platforms and all the thing, the side hustle, the second thing, the multiple streams of income, right? Multimillionaires and billionaires have more than one stream of income. We know that to be true. So he talks about working your way around when the time allows for it, but adding something that you're really passionate about. And that can help kind of fulfill your life, give you a new challenge. And the third thing is to start a nonprofit or find ways to give back to your community. And I know a lot of us in this, in our community of Evolve do this already. But if you're not doing that, maybe find a local place in your community where you can give back, you can volunteer, you can, give outside of yourself and do something that is not just growing your business or growing your family, right? Or supporting your family. And then have more areas of interest, and fulfilling multiple passions can really help you reach a state of self-actualization, because you're going to learn things in opportunities where you're not just making money, right? Or you're not just selling a product or service. So he talks about this second career. In the book, he actually talks about it being like an actual second career. So like when you're around my age, I guess, in your 40s, or 50s where, you've been working for a long time for this one company or goal or whatever, but having something else that also fulfills you. Okay, so the main points of the book is basically this book helps tap into your highest potential and work with what you've got. We've talked a lot in this group also about like not changing who we are, just enhancing who we already are, not trying to fix who we are, but just understanding and tapping into our strengths and letting that guide us. So this is a lot about what this book is talking about. So really helping you discover your inner talents and then build skills that match those inner talents so that you're not constantly fighting against the grain or fighting against yourself, really, is how it kind of feels sometimes. So he says, embrace yourself and work to improve the skills that you already have. Articulate how you learn and communicate that with your team. And then carve out your place in the world. Figure out where your place in the world actually is by using this strengths analysis and figuring out what lights you up. So our breakout questions that we're going to talk about today are, 1, have you ever thought to run a kind of a decision analysis is what I'm calling it? Do you think it would be helpful if you did? Do you feel that you know your values and boundaries, and do you communicate those well with your team? Yes or no? And then what do you think you could do to improve like a second career? Or is there anything that you can maybe add in that would add more joy to your life, or something you could get rid of, I guess, also to add more joy to your life? Is there anything you could that lights you up even more? So I hope you learned some good tips through this book, and I will put the link and upload the video. So thank you so much. Bye-bye.